going to hit. We're going to go live and make sure that this happens. So
Okay.
hopefully it's happening. I think we may be live now. We just never know. I just got off a
I think
live.
it's live. It's
We are live. We're live. I was just doing a live with Paige Stewart. I may have mentioned her a few times.
Yes, you may have mentioned this page.
Yeah, we just did one, and it's always a dicey thing. Like, are we live? Are we not? Are we? Because we're going through the Zoom, and then we're doing this and that and the other. Hello, friends. It is, what is today? Thursday,
The 22nd.
12 noon Central. Yes, 12 noon Central in the Midwest. And happy to see you all today. David Lee with Daring Deeply, and our special guest. Wait for it. She's back. She's back. I almost said it. Libby, I almost said it again. I almost said Libby Meadors. Ladies and gentlemen, Libby Meadors Rooney. There we go.
Hello, friends. Good to see you again.
Hello. Libby, if you were not with us, wow, when was that? February? Last time we got together? So I've invited Libby back, and this may be a regular occurrence. Libby is an extraordinary licensed counselor here in the Midwest, and we went to high school together.
Yay!
Yeah, we went to high school together here locally in the Missouri area and Missouri, Kansas area. I won't tell them too much because they'll be stalking our homes. But anyway, I have invited Libby to, and my phone is telling me, oh, record, which I already did. I never remember that. So I'm looking at my phone right now. I want to make sure and address people because we're live, and I hope we're live. Are we live? We are live. There we are. Hi, how you doing?
We are. Okay.
Yeah. Hey, it's cool. You know, we actually have a closed caption now on these lives. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Did that just show up?
Yeah. So anyway, folks will be jumping on here. So Libby is a licensed practiced LPC. What is LPC?
That is a licensed professional counselor.
There you go. So she's got letters behind her name. So she's important.
I worked hard for those letters.
Darn right you did. Darn right you did. So Libby and I are not only friends, we're also colleagues in some respect, and we're also partnering together to referral back and forth and to bring forth to our audience of Daring Deeply. Shout out to all of you that are here. The importance of both of what we do as counselor and as coach. And we really dove into that last time, a couple of months ago. And today we're going to talk about a specific subject. Actually, not too specific, but we're going to talk about distraction and how powerful distraction can be that lure us away from perhaps the important things of life, as we say, even though a distraction can be a really powerful tool, right, in order to stay grounded, right, and to have rest and relaxation and workout and all those types of things, which we wouldn't necessarily title as distraction.
Yeah, it might be labeled something differently. But
Yeah.
what's interesting, that distraction thing, sometimes I see this, in my practice, that distraction sometimes is avoidance, right? It's avoidance. Maybe you're not really dealing with what's happening. You're distracted by maybe someone else's stuff, or even sometimes people in their anxiety, that becomes their narrative. And then I wonder, like, what is that protecting you from when you get that distracted or you label yourself with anxiety? Like, how's that protecting you? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Or is that kind of weird?
Yeah, because I think, for sure. And I think in general, it is so much easier. I'd love to get your take on this, Libby, is in general, it's so much easier to take care of everybody else's stuff. Mm-hmm. Or to address this or get involved in other people's drama or life. And we sometimes classify that as, well, we're trying to help. We're just trying to help. We're just trying to give our 2 cents or our 3 cents or our opinion. Right?
Yeah, especially when it comes to parenting. Whew. Right? We want to help our kids. And I was just talking you about my, people out there that have kids that are adulting. Whew. Sometimes it goes smoothly and other times distraction. I have to remind myself sometimes, like, wait.
Yes.
This is their story. I have my own. Let me deal with my own stuff. They can do theirs. It's really hard because I am a mom too.
Yeah.
3 kiddos. 3 girls.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's something in and of itself. So I think it's an important note to say our children, those of us that are parents that are watching here today. Good to see you, Lori. Thanks for jumping on. And by the way, just talking to the live audience, if you're on here, we love to have interaction. If you have questions for Libby or myself, we are focused in on distraction today and to see how that affects our daily lives. At the same time, if you have questions for Libby and for myself, please jump in here. We love the comments. We love the interaction. So consider this a conversation. But I think those of us that are parents, we can be incredibly distracted by our children. Right. And the role in which we think we should be playing with our children.
Like maybe overzealous soccer dad or, like going that direction. Like I've got to make sure that my son is playing and that I need to call that coach. That coach needs to know that my son is working hard, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Instead of going, hey, or riding your son super hard. Like you need to work out. You need to do all these things. And you're like, maybe I should take a look at myself. Maybe I need to be the one running and thinking about my journey and my story.
Yeah, for sure. And that's so much of what we certainly focus on. Yeah, thank you for that. Certainly what we focus on at Daring Deeply is the understanding of if we are feeling the stress and anxiety. I conducted a workshop this morning for a fantastic group of women in the National Financial Advisors something. See, now some of them are watching and going, you don't even remember who you were talking to.
Thanks a lot, David.
Yeah. We were talking specifically about stress and anxiety today and how we allow outside influences to provide us the stress and anxiety when that's really not, as I like to say, it's not our circus, not our monkeys. So, and how we allow someone else's behavior or responses or reactions to affect us. And then we add more stress and anxiety to us. And we then perhaps choose a distraction to keep us from addressing our stuff in the first place. There you go. There I go. Full circle.
Absolutely. And those distractions can be super alluring, right? I mean, they can be, Netflix, watching an entire 6 hours of some series, right? Being on or scrolling the internet forever. I mean, some of them can be really unhealthy and kind of a time suck. I mean, I have to consciously tell myself sometimes, like, I got to turn the show off or I've got to get off Instagram. Like, I need to stop. It was great for 30 minutes. I've got work to do. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a super powerful perspective. Hello, Lori. Yes, you're working. This is so one of the viewers, Libby, said, I'm working. This is my distraction. That's what she just said. I'm working. This is my distraction by watching this. Hello, Stacey. Thanks for jumping on. There you go. So I'm curious. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just going to talk about this interruption science that they're kind of newer. They're really delving into because never before have our brains been this overstimulated. I mean, we weren't meant to be stimulated as much as we are, especially with all of our devices. So people on average, every 5 minutes, their brain is interrupted. So even if like you're working on something at your computer, you typically then check your phone after 5 minutes, set your phone down, start readjusting again to what you're doing. It just constantly happens. And so there's all this new science and research on how that's affecting us neurologically. And with our mental health. Kind of interesting, huh?
That is very interesting. Yeah. So I have a couple of questions for you. Specifically, what are some of the distractions that you see in your practice with your clients? And then I'd love to piggyback on what you just said on what are some of the things that are recommended from a professional standpoint on relieving some of those distractions. Like how do we combat the phone and the iPad and the Netflix and the Kansas City Royals? Yeah, that's my distraction.
Let me jump on that one first, just because it's fresh of mind.
Yep.
Being in your present moment is super important. It is, it's the antidote to anxiety. And so jumping in and really thinking, okay, you know what? I've got 15 minutes or 20 minutes, whatever. I need to get this stuff done. Turn your phone over. If that's what you need to do, put your phone in your purse or put it in a drawer, get your stuff done. You have to start create new habits, really, because we are all addicted to our phone. See, mine's just right here. So it happens, but I'm not going to look at any text, I don't think. But it just happens, right? So just sticking into your present moment. Mindfulness is thing that I do mindfulness behavior or cognitive behavior therapy, which is helping you reframing thoughts and also jumping into those moments and giving yourself the space and time for silence and reflection and creativity.
Absolutely.
Okay, so what was the first question?
No, that's beautiful. Let me pause there because I'd love to expand on that a little bit. So, and that coincides and really intersects with how we coach through coaching at Daring Deeply and we have 10 guidelines of engagement, kind of how we encourage our clients to engage life. And one of those is what we call practice full presence listening. Full presence listening, right? Which means completely engaged. And we probably have all had this experience when we're having a conversation with someone and they're right in front of us and they're not there, right?
Yeah. So it's
probably had this
listening
experience.
to truly hear them versus listening to think about what you're going to say next.
Exactly.
And I'm trying not to do that.
What's interesting about that, yeah, what's interesting about that is almost excused at this point, to your point, Libby, about the distractions. We've almost excused that behavior, that for the phone to be out on the table up. Oh, excuse me, I need to answer this real quick. Ooh, I need to look at that text. Or it's almost been excused.
Rude. It's rude.
So it's like, well, everybody's doing it. So yeah. So, I hear you. I try to, practice those disciplines as much as possible. And I will share with you too, and share this with the audience, see who else can resonate with this. The vast majority of my business I conduct on my phone. So how super challenging. Yeah, exactly. So then it's like, oh, well, then that's important. So, so I excuse it away. That's why I need to put that phone down for a period of time, have those boundaries, right? Not address it. The world's not going to come to an end, I promise, right? That phone, that distraction can be incredibly, incredibly powerful.
Isn't it crazy? Because you've got your whole personal life in here and your professional life. Everything's in here. Your portal to your people you love when you're not with them, and the portal to the world, right? On the news or Facebook, and then the portal to your livelihood. So it is really hard. It's like food. We need it, right? We can't, too much of it is not good for us. And like sex,
right?
Right? I mean, anything in too much is too much, right? And some people might argue that point, though. There might not be too much sex, but
well, that's an interesting segue. And always balance, right? Balance is always
right. Because
so
I do see in practice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sometimes sex is quite the distraction for some people.
Yeah, I would love for you to dive into that. We did want to talk about that. And then I'm super interested we were talking offline right before the call about the two other areas of distraction that are so incredibly common, especially with everyone. Because it deals with love. So whether we have been married for 25 years or we're in the dating scene or whatever it may be, I'd really love to hear you expand on some of that new research that you've found and expand on that. I'm going to pause for just a second and then let you go. I'm going to address Stacy here. Stacy, love the phone idea. I turn phone volume off, so no distractions. Yeah, I hear you, Stacy. Thank you. All right, Libby, I'm going to invite you to jump into that. So tell us a little bit about those distractions as far as sex, love, passion, all those types of things that you see in your practice.
Well, so when we first get into a relationship, it feels so good. There's just a high. It's like 120 watt light bulb. You want to be with that person when you're not with them. And when you're with them, you're just so happy. That's what's so exciting about new relationships, right? And that's a state of limerence. That's what it's called. That limerence just feels so good. But eventually it wears off. When in a sustainable long-term relationship, you cannot keep anything at that kind of high, right? But when you're in that limerence, you are pretty distracted. It's the only thing you're thinking about. But what happens is people that get stuck in limerence are more stuck. It's more of an obsessive relationship, right? somebody that pathologically is kind of stuck in limerence. Most people move on and get into a relationship, or the relationship breaks up and you move on to another relationship where the limerence happens again. Now, what happens with people that have more of a love addiction, they're addicted to the feeling, the chemical payoff of that limerence. And so I think, as a woman and having friends that have been single, I have all these friends that have dated these guys, and it just seems so hot and heavy at first. I love you, I love you. And then the minute that limerence is over, the relationship's over, and that man, and that's not just a male thing, I know women do this too, goes on to the next relationship.
Mhm.
So some people are addicted to that state of feeling, where in limerence you are
Mhm.
addicted sort of to the person. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
absolutely. So help us tie this back to distraction, right? That's obvious when we're talking about
Mhm.
obsessive behavior and how that distracts us from, and we've probably felt those types of feelings to where, oh my gosh, we can't think of anything else. Therefore, work suffers, everything else.
Right.
Go ahead.
It's like an obsessive compulsive disorder type thing, right? You've heard of
Mhm.
OCD. We've kind of coined that phrase, like, oh, I've got OCD. My room has to be, my office has to be perfect. So that obsessions, it's obsessions and compulsions with those two things, and looks a lot like any addictive behavior. So I think, like that hypersexuality we were talking about, like when people get those pervasive fantasy thoughts, whether it's a person or a sexual thing, and they can't stop thinking about it. It's nonstop, perseverating thoughts. And the only way to kind of relieve that is through a compulsion. That compulsion could just be uh, texting, like if you're in a love addiction situation, or you really want to hear from somebody you care about and they're not texting you, you're texting them back, and the minute you get that text back, you're like, I mean, I have clients that all they need is a text. He didn't text me back. He didn't text me, and I texted him this morning, and he wasn't. And this is someone that's, just caught up in this person, which is more that limerence feeling. So we get distracted by all this stuff, when really what we find underneath these relationships and these addictions are just some true anxiety or true OCD that's manifesting itself this way, or trauma or other
Mm.
things underneath the distractions of these constant relationships. Did that
Oh,
frame that
oh,
well?
that's
I'm
so
sorry,
good.
I go off on tangents.
Oh, that was super great, Libby. So I wanna make sure that we're clear to the audience. So what I heard was
Mhm.
there's love and there's limerence. And if you could real quick, because I'm kind of a spelling nerd, can you limerence? I want to make sure that we're hearing this correctly. How do we spell that?
Lim, so it's Limerence.
So it's limerence, like limerick, but
Yeah,
limerence. Got it.
limerence.
Got it.
Yep,
Okay, so
yep,
help me
yep.
understand. We've got limerence and we've got love. So the distractive behavior, right, is with limerence, it's more of the obsession or the distraction to what?
A person.
The
A
person. The
person
limerence is person.
is you are you're really excited about the person. Your heart beating faster, you want to be with them all the time, you're not there. And I think everybody in a relationship knows what that's like at the early stage. I mean, that's really normal for the early stage, right?
Right.
It's just not sustainable.
Right.
It's when someone gets stuck there that it becomes sort of, unhealthy, more pathological.
Mhm.
It's not in the DSM, but it's looking to be in the DSM.
Can you tell us
Um,
what the DSM is
the
for those of
the
for those of
diagnostical, medical. It's how I diagnose.
got it. So it's a book. It's the
Diagnostic
official book.
statistical mental disorders. Yes, sorry. I'm
Got it.
like, what
Got
is
it.
the exact accurate? Or yeah. So, anyways, yes,
All good.
my purple book, and so that is how we diagnose. It is not in there, but it's under debate to be brought in there, for the next one.
Got
So,
it.
okay, so
Got it.
then the love addiction is more the obsession of the feeling, where the
Got it.
person is more wrapped up in the feeling than the actual human. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yes. So limerence is the individual person, that specific person, and the
Hmm.
love is the feeling. We're addicted to the feeling. the emotion.
Addicted to the feeling. Right, right. Those are the two differences there. Yeah, and
Awesome.
my thought would be, because I see a lot of clients like this, and I'm sure you do too. And I hate to genderize this, but I have more female clients that find themselves in a relationship with men that are kind of stuck in that cycle, and helping them
Mhm.
realize, oh my gosh, it's really not about you. It's about their feelings of wanting to be, just to continue that feeling. When it wears off, they're on to the next person. Um, Helping them understand that person.
Okay. So let me make sure I clarify in this. So your experience in your practice is, generally speaking, there's exceptions to all of this, is that
Oh, of course.
the women are experiencing the attention from men in a short term, and then we're on to the next. Is that what I'm understanding? I want to make sure that we're clear on this, what you're seeing.
Right, right. So I'll have clients that'll have a new relationship, and the relationship will be amazing. And after like 3 months, and this
Mhm.
is after they've been told, I love you, you're the most beautiful person in the world, I'll marry you, like quickly. And then after 3 months or so, it'll start to kind of, it fizzles out. And
Mm,
then the person that they thought was their dream man will be
mhm.
on to the next person
Got it.
pretty
Got it.
quickly, because they're so addicted to that feeling. In fact,
Mm.
another person is probably what pulled them out of that the relationship that was fizzling down. They already met somebody else, and
Sure.
shwing, so
Yeah.
they're back up here
No,
again.
thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that Mike Myers reference. Appreciate that.
Yes. And I
Yeah.
will say, if I'm
There's,
talking like research
mhm.
wise, I have more female clients than I have male clients. So this could be an unfair assessment by Counselor Libby, but it's what I see in my practice.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And thank you for that. The data is the data, right? What you have is what you have. So what I would offer, certainly from a male perspective, and in us working at Daring Deeply primarily with high achieving professional women who are experiencing the very same things that you're describing in your practice, Libby, is this back and forth between, oh my gosh, I really am so obsessed with this, and then I'm hot, and then I'm cold, and then I'm hot, and then I'm cold. And from a masculine perspective, I would offer, for those of us that are watching and here live or on replay, is that men in general, see, we're generalizing again, men in general are ill-equipped for the most part to really understand their motives, their emotions, what they do, who they are as a romantic, who they are as a man in a relationship, and how to maintain that and keep the fire alive and all of that. Is that we know specifically how to shower women, how to woo women, how to love bomb women, right? As we say
Yeah.
in the narcissistic tendencies.
I
Um,
love bomb. That's
yeah,
perfect.
yeah. Is we drop little love bombs, the flowers and the gifts and the hot sex, and oh my goodness, and it's really hot and heavy for a while. And then from a male perspective, it's like, okay, so what do we do now? And
Okay.
what I mean by that is, oh my gosh, I've really, pun intended, okay, pun intended, here it comes. I've blown my wad. And
Now
and
they got to deal with
now,
the Rooney.
yeah, now exactly. And I'm terrified to really show myself because I have been ill-equipped to deal with my own vulnerability as a man. So how do I go to that next level and share with her who I really am? Because I'm terrified of that stuff anyway, and maybe I haven't dealt with it, and yet I'm going to invite a woman into that space. That's potentially terrifying to a man.
Oh, I totally understand that. And the
Yeah,
thing is, when somebody gets caught up in those kind of addiction patterns, of course there's something underneath there. Maybe there's attachment issues, maybe there's real depression, maybe it's, just a anxiety. Um and being vulnerable, it can be so scary to a man, right? Our culture, um
mm,
we, we want our males to be strong. We want
exactly.
our males to, not in all cases, but help, be the breadwinner. Not always. I mean, that's totally changed. And, as we've
Mhm.
grown up, we've seen our mothers working. And now I feel
Sure.
like women have a much bigger part in that. But as a married person myself, I know my husband's always kind of carried the shoulder of being the breadwinner. And sometimes, getting him to be more vulnerable when you have to go out into the world and be strong. It's hard for anybody, male or female, but I can totally see that with men. Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's something that we both genders, all genders can work on, is the idea that ultimately we reframe what vulnerability is. And vulnerability
Yeah.
truly is strength. To be able to stand up in your vulnerability and ask for help and say, I don't have all my shit together. And that's okay. In fact, standing in that and saying, I am strong enough to come to that place, because then that breaks down the walls, right? It
Totally.
envelops, it generates a level of intimacy between people, as opposed to what we think is, oh, if we show our vulnerabilities, then the women will be terrified because it denotes that we are no longer strong. And
So
what I would
it's just
offer is that it's both
right?
and.
Yeah. Well, the
Exactly.
vulnerability drives
And
connection, but it's
exactly,
counterintuitive to
exactly,
what we've thought, you know?
exactly,
That's why men are,
exactly.
or
Yeah.
why people in
Yeah.
these
So,
positions are
so let's,
protective.
for sure. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. Thank you for that. So let's get this back to distractions. We're going to go ahead and wrap this up here in the next couple of minutes and honor people's time. So I know that's what we say. We could just go on and 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 on. Right. So as far as kind of from a 30,000 foot view, Libby, kind of a global view as far as distraction and what you've seen in the practice, provide us here a couple of 2, 3, 4 bullet points on how you then provide perspective for your clients to say, okay, you're distracted by the love bombing, you're distracted by sexual tendencies, you're distracted by the Netflix, you're distracted by all of these things. How would you tell our audience, and certainly how you relay that to your clients, on some strategies, tools? What are some things that we can provide the audience here today?
Okay. Well, first of all, when you're sitting across from me, I don't necessarily just throw out all the things I see. I want people to feel heard here. So when people are felt here, they're able to problem solve themselves. It's so funny when you
Mm,
feel completely heard and or understood, you're able to do a lot of problem solving on your own. It's amazing. And I love seeing that. But pointing some of those things out is part of my job in a gentle, therapeutic, unconditional, positive regard way.
yep.
Um, so like I said, I practice mindfulness with my clients and have them do that as homework. Um, we try to create or work on faulty thinking. If some of these faulty beliefs are part of, like, I have to do this, I need to do this, helping them sort of restructure those faulty thoughts that are maybe leading into sort of this behaviors. But slowing down in mindfulness helps with obsessive thoughts and ideas as well.
Mm,
Um, let's see, I kind of lost my train of thought here. What else? Well, and just helping them problem solve and figure out when they've got time in their day to fit in that space for
mm,
mindfulness or meditation. I always think, in stillness you shall receive, right? In stillness is when I get my best
mm.
ideas. Um, we all need
Love
it.
it.
We need the pause. Oh, that's another thing. Take a pause before you do anything. It's there for us. It's there for us in our breath. It's there for us in before we make any decisions. Take the pause before you leap. Is this what I want to do with my
Mm.
time? Is this where I need to go?
I love
Is
it.
this
I
who I
love
need
it.
to
Yeah.
spend my time with?
So even you, yeah, yeah. Thank you. Beautiful. Love it. In fact, when you just said pause, when you just said breathe, I took a breath. Right. And
Okay,
sometimes we
good.
just need that prompting. It could be it can be so super simple. And yet we forget to breathe, right? We are involuntarily breathing, obviously, as we stay alive, but to
Right,
be
we don't
intentional
have to be.
about that breath.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Or intentional about that pause.
Mhm.
Just we cannot choose what people do around us. We have no control over that. We do have power in how we decide to respond, right?
Absolutely.
So take the
Absolutely.
pause. Take that power
Yes.
back.
Love it. I love it. So taking the pause and truly understanding, taking a mindful approach, knowing who we are, is certainly a gateway to combat some of the distractions and say, so why am I doing that? Why is this occupying my time and space where it
Right.
could
Just
be other
getting more
ways in which to
connected
look
with
at it.
yourself.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, my friend, as we like to say, that our conversations are never complete. They're just abandoned. We just put a pause. We just put a
We'll
pin
just
in
put a
it and
pause.
we'll look next time. That's right. We just
Pick
put a
up where we leave
pause, put a pause.
off.
That's right. That's right. So I want to thank you again, my friend. Thank you, Libby Rooney, for
Oh,
jumping on
my
here.
pleasure.
How can I want to make sure that absolutely, I want to make sure that you are honored here. Tell the folks where to find you. Who do you work with? What's your ideal client? Maybe give them an idea of how to locate you.
So you can find me at libbyrooneycounseling.com. I work with a variety of ages from upper elementary to well into their 60s. So I love all my clients. I love what I do. I love to tell you I work with a specific age group or a niche, but I just, I just meet people where they are and do my best
I
to
love it.
help them
I
feel
love it.
heard and
Thank you,
cared
Libby.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
love it. Whoa, so beautiful. Yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, those of you that are watching here, reach out to her if you're looking for, if you have someone that could potentially leverage some of Libby's services. We certainly welcome you to do that. And certainly what we're doing here at Daring, you're welcome. My pleasure. Certainly what we're doing here with Daring Deeply, and we're on the same team, Libby and I. So certainly servicing and supporting folks to ultimately find healing and transformation to move forward. That's what we do here at Daring Deeply, and that's certainly what Libby is doing as well. So thank you so much again, Libby, for jumping on. Thank you everyone for watching, and we love comments, shares, likes, loves, and we'll see you all next time. See you next Tuesday for the next Daring Deeply DLea DLayered. Take care, friends. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you later.